Dr. Kethlick stood in the medical observation chamber of the Galactic Research Station, her 3 eyes fixed on the human specimen before her. Captain James Morrison lay on the regeneration pod, his left arm hanging uselessly at his side after the mining accident on Kepler 442b. The procedure would take merely 30 minutes to restore the limb to perfect condition. Yet Morrison kept refusing. "I don't understand your hesitation," Dr. Kethlick said through the universal translator, her luminescent skin flickering with confusion. Around her, a dozen other alien physicians gathered, Vrelians with their crystalline structures, Zephrons with their gaseous forms contained in biosuits, and several others representing the most advanced medical practitioners in known space. Captain Morrison sat up slightly, wincing at the movement. His scarred human face showed something the aliens couldn't quite comprehend, determination mixed with what appeared to be resignation. "Doc, I appreciate the offer, but I'm keeping my arm the way it is." "But the regeneration process is painless," explained Dr. Shalom, a Vrelian whose voice resembled crystalline chimes. "Within minutes, you would have full functionality restored. You would be as though the accident never occurred." Morrison shook his head slowly. "That's exactly the problem." The observation chamber fell silent. Dr. Kethlick's skin pulsed with different colors, a sign of deep confusion among her species. She had studied humans for 3 years and still couldn't predict their illogical decisions. "Humans are Deathworlders," Morrison began, his voice carrying the weight of experience. "We come from a planet that tried to kill us in every possible way. Predators, diseases, natural disasters, starvation. Humans evolved on a world where survival meant adapting, learning, remembering. Every scar we carry is a teacher." A Zephron's gaseous form swirled turbulently. "You're suggesting that permanent damage serves a purpose?" "Not permanent damage," Morrison corrected. "But scars? Permanent reminders?" "Yeah. They do." He held up his right hand, which bore deep marks across its palm. "I got this trying to save a teammate from an explosion when I was 25. 30 years later, I still feel that moment when I reach for something. It reminds me why I'm careful. Why I check safety protocols. That scar probably saved my life, or someone else's, 100 times." Dr. Kethlick's processed this. Among her species, the Kethlicks, perfection was paramount. Any injury was immediately regenerated. The concept of intentionally maintaining damage seemed primitive, even barbaric. "But surely the infection risk, the reduced functionality," Dr. Shalom began. "I'm not saying we don't treat injuries," Morrison interrupted. "Fix what needs fixing to keep us alive. But there's a difference between healing and erasing. We humans, we need to remember. Our bodies remember. When I look at this arm tomorrow, I'll remember to be more careful near the mining equipment. That knowledge is worth more to me than perfect symmetry." Another physician, a being of pure energy contained within a force field, hummed thoughtfully. "This suggests your species values experience over optimization." "Experience is optimization," Morrison said. "But not the way you measure it." The revelation spread through the medical community across the galaxy. Humans declined regeneration. Humans requested that scars be preserved. Humans viewed their imperfections as wisdom rather than faults. Humans thought of their broken bones, their missing teeth, their scarred skin as stories written in flesh. Within weeks, researchers began publishing papers with titles like Non-Logical Preferences in Deathworld Species and The Psychological Necessity of Imperfection in High-Risk Organisms. But Captain Morrison didn't pay attention to any of that. He was too busy checking his safety equipment with even greater care than usual. His left arm hung at his side, useless and permanent, a tangible memory of his mistake. And every time he thought about reaching for something with that arm out of habit, only to feel phantom pain and remember, he knew he'd made the right choice. 6 months later, Morrison prevented a cave-in by obsessively checking an area that reminded him of where he'd been injured. The rescue team found 17 humans beneath the rubble he'd prevented from falling. When the aliens calculated that Morrison's decision to keep his scar had statistically saved lives, they finally understood. Regeneration wasn't always medicine. Sometimes, survival meant keeping the proof of your failures close enough to touch. Kindly like this story, drop your comment and subscribe channel. Thank you.